Well, this comes apart pretty much the same way the other one did. Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch. Kind of would have thought they would have designed it for this to, you know, fit those two holes there. I don't think that would have been that big of an issue. There's certainly plenty of space there. Alright, so those two bearings hold it up pretty nice. There we go. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take thrust washers off this end. These are definitely either there's a little I'm not sure it's rust, but it's certainly not as nice and clean and pretty as yeah, it could be rust. So we'll clean those up before we put them back in. Let's see here. Well, it's not quite as dirty as the other one was. Yeah, the other one wouldn't do that, but I've got it out now, so I'm going to go ahead and clean it up. And hopefully we can keep it from getting dirty again. Might go down if you could hold it rigid enough. I imagine that would just keep spinning around. Kind of slow compared to this. Alright. Well, this is the... I don't know if you can see. You see the extra shine? You can see some shine through here. And it's basically from here to here, so you can tell where it's been used the most. But now that it's all nice and clean, it was running through there, and I was actually dragging my hand there a little bit. Gets up to speed pretty good, huh? No resistance or anything like that. So, screws on the end here, the threads, yeah, they weren't done very well at all. This is the screw that came out of the top. And it goes back in this one, and that is a pass-through. It goes down plenty far, but the screw would be too long to fit in the bottom. But you can probably see that, you know. I mean, it's off at an angle there, which is probably why, you know, which is why this thing sits cattywampus on the end there. It's in straight enough, but they're so close I can't go in and move them or anything like that. I could if I felt so energetic. You know, I could machine this back some and drill new holes. But I'm not gonna. Just because, you know, I want to get this thing back together and running, and it works the way it is. You know, if I start changing too darn many things, I may miss something and cause more problems than I fix. So yeah, you can see the punch mark right there where they started with that, and then I guess he realized that it was too high, so they moved it down, and then this one ended up walking over a little bit and being at a slight angle. So, well, this is the thrust bearing and washer set up close. Now, so what I'm looking at here is the texture on the backside, the unused side, the side away from the bearing. Other than the mark there, the texture looks exactly the same. Okay, so my assumption is that the washer is the same on both sides and started out looking like this. Okay, so since that mark indicates some amount of wear, Certainly not enough to feel anything like that, but since I have it apart, I think what I'm going to do when I put it back together is I'm going to put it back together with the non-worn side toward the bearings. Okay, you can see the wear there. Very little here. I think not exactly sure what that's from. Probably wherever it was rubbing. So I'll put those two like that and put those back together in there like that. When I put that back together, the other one that's got a good bit of wear there. Oh yeah, that's got now this is actually the one. Yeah, this is the one from the inside with the cup. Okay, so every time the Z-axis pushed away, it took a ton of load here. Okay, so when it went, well, let me. So since this cup was like this on the end of the other end of the ball screw, okay, when the ball screw had to push against it, you know, to move the carriage to the right, it put a ton of force against that bearing, and since the bearing was dry, it put some wear in here that you can actually feel. Okay, when it went the other way and tried to pull it, it didn't put so much load on the other set behind the knob because it was putting it all on this bearing on the other end. Okay, it feels okay, but I'm not gonna, you know, that's why the other one didn't show near as much wear. This would maintain a huge amount of pressure, especially considering how hard it was to push that saddle. So I'll turn these inside out too, and go that way as well, because they're and I probably, oh yeah, you can even see the wear on the little rollers. But so I'll swap them inside. This one will go under the handle, and I'll move the one from the handle to here, but I still will turn the washers inside out. Yeah, and you could feel it on this one too. So let's do that while we're thinking about it. So I'm going to put that one in down there. Let's take this bearing. We'll drop it in there. We'll set this one in there. Now I don't have to think about, did I swap it or not. Okay, we'll put that one down. Put the bearing in. And just before I put it in, since these aren't exactly sealed, so I should be able to squirt some oil in there and stuff like that, but I think I'm going to put a little bit of grease in there, okay? Because there is no good way to put oil in there. You know, it probably wouldn't hurt to, you know, drill a little hole in the cup there kind of thing, put a set screw in, then you can pull the set screw out and squirt some oil in, but that's pretty excessive, and you'd kind of have to just overlap half of it, okay, because there's certainly not enough room there to put a hole in it. You know, you'd have to drill in the middle and just let the edge of the hole catch that. And you definitely want to cover it, because it rotates around, it just keep picking up more chips and running them right down into the bearing. That would be counterproductive. Thought I'd also point out that when I did clean this in the parts cleaner, I did take the bearing out first. I did not want solvent getting down inside here and ruining the lubrication that's in the bearing. It's a sealed bearing for a reason. So I've got a little leftover, it's AMSOIL red grease. Should be synthetic. AMSOIL's pretty good about making sure their stuff is compatible with you know, everything else kind of thing. So I just want to I'm going to fill up both sides. I don't want it completely packed, because, you know, as it starts to heat up, it'll start to ooze out. So you know, that's fine. You know, but we'll drop it in there. Well, actually, I did just want to put a little smear coat on the washer. Okay, and that's the side I want up. So I did this one first, so that way I can put this in. I can go ahead and put this back in there. A little bit of drag there from the score marks or whatever from the other. Now I don't want to, with this hanging here, okay, I don't want to try to put the knob on now because I'm going to want the knob pushed down fairly snug. And having it at an angle is going to cut down how far in I can push that. So I definitely want to get the other end mounted here first. Okay, sealed bearing, shouldn't be any reason to put any anything on it. So considering how tight it was coming out, okay, there we go. As I say, I'm positive that it will not strip when I put it back together here. So, okay, so those two should be pretty tight. No perceivable wiggle there. Ooh, there's a little bit of binding, and you can watch this thing rise and fall. Now, is that because of this? Let's find out. Oh, how about that? That slight twist in here is causing a problem. Yeah, actually, as I'm pushing it over, I can see this flex. So it's just simply that this is at an angle. There's no play in the bearing there or anything. So I think what I'm going to do, I've got at least a 1/16 of an inch there. I'm going to elongate that hole slightly in the aluminum to get this more straight up. You know, I'm not feeling any slop back and forth here, and I definitely don't want this thing to continue binding like it was. You know, the point of tearing it apart and doing all this is to make it work better, not not put it back to the same junk it was, right? Well, I already have a 4-flute 1/4 inch in here, okay? And 1/4 inch is just what I want, okay? Normally you'd run a 2-flute with aluminum. I'm hardly going to cut anything. Insignificant, basically, so I'm just going to do it in the mill. I could just take a rat tail file for Pete's sakes, but the challenge is I can't get down in there, and I don't know if I have a longer one. I certainly don't think I have one that's over an inch longer to get in there. You know, because then I could set it on parallels down in here and clamp it and do it. And if I try to stick it in this way, you know, there's no real easy way to get it to do that. You know, I might be able to put some standoffs up under there to get it set, but they don't really look like they'll span the gap there. So what I came up with is I just put the screw in there, put a nut on there, bolted a parallel to it. Then I'm going to take my 1, 2, 3 blocks, and that way it will suspend. Okay. And I just need it to hold it till it's clamped, because once it's clamped, then the vise does all the work. Okay. And that is the bottom one. And I left the bearing in because the bearing's recessed. Okay. So I should find center and all that. How I've got everything set up here is a little weird. All right, we'll call that good. Because it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but I just want to go in there and just mill it sideways a little bit, and that's the bottom one. I want the cut to come toward me. Okay, it's not wanting to really go down all the way in there, but that's part of because of the way the hole's drilled. So let's see if this works. call that good, and we'll try that. All right, I put it back on, and I didn't feel any binding, and the screw went in a whole lot easier. To turn it, you can still, might still be able to make out just a little bit there. There's still no play. And I'm not feeling, I'm turning it with the small end down here. And I'm not feeling any binding like I did before. But I wonder if I want to go just a hair more. Just to make sure. Well, I'll tell you what, let me, let's take the bottom one back out. And if the last of the wobble goes away, then I need to open the hole up some more. Oh, heck, you know, I should open up the other side the opposite way. So that way, instead of the whole thing moving back away and giving me slop, play in there, I can just turn it and possibly even, you know, push it back up against it, and that way it's straight. Because I think the big reason it bows is because this thing has been off at an angle. Let's find out. Oh yeah, nice. See, that one goes all the way in now without having to fight it. Okay, I'm not feeling any slop. And there might just be the tiniest bit. I could put an indicator on it and see, but it's less than it was before I did it. So I'm gonna hold that over a little bit, see if I can keep it snug up against the end of the ball screw. Okay, nice and tight, no play. Ooh, wow, amazing. Now there's binding. And I can noticeably see this going up and down. That's wild. I wonder if you have, you know, this much. Okay, well, loosening that up didn't seem to change it, so. Yeah, that's better. Whoops, dang. Watch me strip out the Allen hood. I wonder if there's that much grief setting it up initially. Wow, I can watch this thing bouncing up and down. Oh, I guess you can't see it. Let's see, there's down, there's up, there's down, there's up, there's down. And I mean, that's moving. Phew, 10 thou, 5 thou, 10 thou, easy. I'm not feeling any binding. There's no play. Okay, so they're both loose. And this is still moving up and down. Okay. So I got my screw is slightly bent. Not gonna worry about it. It's long enough that it'll flex and it'll stay. It might cause some wear over time. but nothing I'm gonna worry about. This is a starter lathe, you know, my entry into CNC. So I'm not too worried if it lasts, you know, for 10 years or anything like that. Okay, I'm still seeing it wobble up and down all the way back here. It could be that the machine turning that was done on the ends, because you know this should be hardened. It's kind of tricky to turn hardened steel. It probably should have been ground instead of turned, but you can tell from the marks on it that it was turned. It could be that they're not perfectly centric. Okay. You know, I'm down close to this end here. I'm down close to this end here, okay? And I see it go up and down a little bit. Oh. And part of that is because there's still a little wow in here. But I wonder if, you know, it's not perfectly concentric. It's close enough. And that's why ball screws can't be used on a manual lathe. The cutting force will do that. Well, there's a tiny bit of movement. So they make it be concentric. It's really a mood issue at this point. I don't have any play back and forth. If you hold it to keep it straight instead of letting it twist, it goes even easier. Okay, let's put a little grease on this and put it up on the other end. Well, let's see if I can... Now, I could put that in there. There we go. How about that? That way the washers didn't fall out on me. Okay, you can feel that bind up on the thrust bearings. Okay, so let's back that off a little bit. That feels pretty good. That doesn't seem like much resistance. Whoop whoop! I loosened it up too much. Have no clue what the preload's supposed to be, but I would imagine, you know, you'd want it snug, but not tight. So we'll call it good. And if anybody else knows better out there how to set it, you know, by all means, let me know. All right, that feels pretty nice. I like that. Boy, it feels a whole lot better than it did before. Well, I figured since I'm getting ready to put the saddle back on, I should look at the wipers. Kind of hard to tell. They look like they're the original ones. You know, but I just gave it a little tug there and it peeled right off. So, I'm trying to decide, you know, if I want to go pick up some felt. I might actually have some thicker rubber like this. I would wonder if the harder rubber, you know, once a piece of metal gets stuck in there, it would kind of stay with the rubber and just scrape back and forth. I'm hoping to make some way protectors so it's not really much of an issue anyway. So these, you know, having felt on there will help keep the oil spreading, I guess. I don't think I'm going to finish the project today, so maybe if somebody looks at this, give me a answer. Let's see here. Yeah, I think you can see that. See how rough that is? You know, normally those should be smooth and stuff like that. And I'm not going to bother trying to lap this or anything because those extra pockets, as far as I'm concerned, they're just going to help hold oil in there. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. So, the wipers, you know, I may go ahead and start putting this thing together and put the wipers on after the fact. Because they're fairly easy to get at and stuff, so I'm not going to worry about them too much. Well, since it's so hard to look up under there, I didn't even bother trying to lean up under there. So I got a mirror. And I've got it all off now. Okay, so basically, on this side, I still got a tiny bit back here to do, but basically what I did was I got my, I had a wire wheel and a die grinder, and I just took it and that's how I ended up getting it off. I started scraping it with the razor blade, but the wire wheel was a whole lot faster. And as long as you don't sit in one spot and really reef on it, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. You know, I can see some marks under there, but they're random marks and stuff like that. And I still see more of the scrubbing from that plate that was going under there. On the back side, it came off even easier. But I got a tight spot back here that I gotta try to get into. So I'm gonna see if I got a smaller wire wheel, or I may just use the razor knife back there.